What's going on, everybody? This is Brian Mazique, aka Unique Mazique, the hardest working man in sports and gaming, and I'm back with another episode of Ask Mazique. And before we get into this question, let's make sure that you know how to be down. Shoot me the message on Twitter at Unique Mazique, and make sure you use the hashtag Ask Mazique. Let's jump into the question. It comes from my man Gabriel Pradia Hunt. He says, the post has once again become a great option to score in NBA 2K19. What do you think of the changes to the post in this year's game? I think that the post game in 2K is one of the best parts of the gameplay. You can really feel the difference in terms of a defender's strength. So I feel like the strength rating matters more in the post than it does any other place on the floor, which I think is where it should be. But I also think the strength should matter a little bit more out on the perimeter too. But you know, then we're getting into the whole philosophy of the way the game is played and so on and so forth now, which things are different. But I think in the post, definitely that whole weight to strength type of thing comes in for sure. I also think there's a decent skill gap on the post, meaning you don't play against a lot of people who really have a good handle on all of the different moves that they can use out of the post, whether it's backing down and using drop steps and pivots and shimmies, or if it's turning and facing up, going into, you know, more like a triple threat look, or, you know, just the turn and face and using that pivot to do spins and things like that. You don't play against a lot of people who really know how to use those things. So I think that does create a skill gap. Now, in regards to what what that player can do, I got a question somebody asked me about archetypes, and I'm going to get into that a little bit more because it kind of connects to this a little bit. But I like the fact that a really skilled post player clearly has an advantage. I don't know about the impact of the takeover, though. I think takeover in the post might be a little, I shouldn't say a little, it's pretty overpowered. So if you are a pure post, a pure post scorer, or you have, I can't remember which badge it is, but if you get takeover on the post, I mean, you literally face up, turn, and clear out your opponent, the low post defender. They go flying backwards and give you the shot. See, that's my thing. That's always my balance that I always want to maintain with all of these games. I always want to see it to a point where you're not abandoning the actual sport to give an advantage for whatever reason, right? So I understand what you're saying. The whole point is, all right, this person's in takeover, they're hot, and I don't have a problem with takeover because takeover has to be earned, right? But what I think I have a problem with is the way that it manifests itself visually on the screen. In basketball, you don't get an opportunity to just go woof and the guy goes flying. I mean, there were times when Shaq would turn and face, create so much contact, the guy would go. And that's why, you know, referees often said that Shaquille O'Neal was probably the hardest man to officiate in NBA history because he created so much contact. So you're trying to decide, when is he being fouled? When is he fouling someone? And when should you just let him play on? But anytime you do the animation that you see in 2K when you have takeover and you turn and clear a guy out, that's going to be an offensive foul. So I don't like it. And I understand there's a struggle to do this and trying to maintain a level of a skill gap as well as a video game element, but then also trying to balance this thing with being a simulation. I get that, but I just think that's kind of overpowered and just, I mean, or even if you just have a situation where, okay, well, he has takeover and you go to this move, he's going to get a shot off. Okay, you still got to have a way to miss, but he's going to get a shot off. Just maybe if it was shown or presented in a more believable way, then I would have less problem with that. But for the most part, that's really my only real issue. I love the fact that layups have a meter, so it to me it creates a better opportunity for you to make tough layups, because that's always that I definitely like the whole entire layup contested shot mechanic closer to the basket this year. I definitely like it much more because it was at a point pretty much with last year and a couple of the previous versions that if you were contested on any kind of layup, if the shot ever went in, you were just surprised, and it really didn't feel to me as though it was I was controlling or I had any input on. Now, obviously, if the player that you're playing with is just not good and scoring in those situations, I expect for them to have a decreased chance. But I still think there needs to be a chance that they can make it. And now this year, I think there is a nice balance between the skill and the attributes, to the point where if I'm going up close to the basket, even if I'm contested, if I can time my shot release just right, then I'm going to get, I can still make that shot. And in fact, I can even green it. And when you see the green come up, you know, and I used to be a person that I still kind of don't necessarily need that shot meter on the screen. Just for me personally, it kind of messes with my immersion. But when you have it on and you see that green come up, even though that shot might have been tough, you're still like, okay, they made it. You know what I mean? So it kind of gives you that satisfaction type of thing. Like, okay, dude just made a great shot, you know, which is the way you should feel when you contest somebody, right? If you really heavily contest and you're right on a guy and he makes the shot anyway, you in real life, you go, he just made a shot. You don't, you know, when you're playing a video game and somebody makes that shot, you kind of need some sort of affirmation that says, okay, in order for him to make this shot, he had to do something extraordinary, because that's the same feeling you get in real life. And I think having the green release on the screen kind of gives you that, like, okay, yeah, all right, he hit it, you know, he hit it right on the right area, right on the right spot. So just overall, man, I don't have much of a problem at all with the post. I like it pretty much just like you. And yeah, I'm hoping that it continues to, honestly, don't even mess with it too much. I think that's one thing about 2K is that sometimes, and I've said this before, sometimes I think they have a tendency to listen too long to people who don't have the purest intentions. Like a lot, and when I say that, I mean there's a lot of people who they'll complain anytime they lose. So anytime they lose, anytime they're not able to dominate or do whatever they want, they're gonna complain, right? You got people like that. Then you got other people who are really like, hey, this isn't either isn't fun, and I'm not saying it's not fun because I'm not winning, but it's just what it takes to succeed. I figured out what it takes to succeed, and it's that's not fun. You know, that's one thing. And then you also have the people who are like really coming at it from a positive standpoint, like, hey, you know what, this just doesn't align with basketball, you know, or either there's no real competitive mini game, there's no competitive, you know, there's no attack to counter, you know, dynamic here in this whole thing, and that needs to be here because we're playing a game. So unless they're coming from those latter two standpoints, then to me, I think 2K kind of has to politely ignore some of that noise, you know, and just make the best game possible, you know. But that's all I got for you guys today. I think that was a pretty good question, allowed me to kind of expound and go some different places. Appreciate that, Gabriel. If you guys want to be down, you want to shoot me a question on Twitter at @UniqueMazique, #AskMazique. I appreciate you watching as always. God bless and peace.
How could I be weak? I'm rather unique.